Hey friends, how you doing today? Sorry that we're getting off to a little bit of a late start here. So, got the power back, got the internet back, feeling a little bit better now, and then I pulled my back. so, but that's okay. That's all right. We will get there. So it'll be a little shorter this week. We're mostly reinstalling our tools, doing a little catch up here. It'll be okay that we missed a couple days. I'm not super concerned. And if you run into something throughout the semester, let me know. I promise I will do my best to accommodate since you folks are being so kind to me. So anyway, I'm Eric Shineski. Nice to meet you here. This is my college email address. This is my cell phone. I do have a college phone, but don't use it, please, because everything should just go to my cell phone that I always have with me. You don't have to wait for me to go check it there. I've got a couple standing office hours for you folks. You can make appointments if you want to meet. Monday afternoons, Wednesday afternoons, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. Please notice this is PM. This is generally after my kids are in bed and things are in quiet, and then more often than not after you folks are done with your busy days as well. If those times don't work, I can also meet by appointment. Other times I'm generally pretty flexible, so if you give me a couple times that do work for you, we can try and set something up. And most everyone wants to meet here on Zoom. The campus isn't even open at night. We could meet Monday or Wednesday on campus if you like. If you're in the area, go for it. Let me know if you want to do that. But most everyone just wants to meet on Zoom because it saves everyone the drive. So this is my Zoom room, a password CIS. It'll throw you in the waiting room until I can pop you in there. So when you check out this Calendly site, which is really cool, it shows you can book, hey, let me see what times are available Monday here, and it reserves a 15-minute slot for you at that time, so I know to expect you, and I can make sure we can spend that time talking here. So take a look, use Calendly to schedule those appointments, and then I have the time reserved for you. This is our section number. We're asynchronous. We meet essentially on desire to learn. This is a copy paste from the course catalog. Nothing new here. The prereqs, you've taken at least 1500. Ideally, you've also taken 2151. It's not the end of the world if you haven't, though. And then some education outcomes. We do a couple pieces of general education outcome that we hit on: critical thinking, quantitative literacy, information literacy. Those are all cool things we work through. And then the common course outcomes are specific goals for this class, talking about like stacks and queues, linked lists, binary search trees, hash tables, and heaps. Probably don't mean anything yet. That's okay. We'll get there. Identifying the appropriate data structure to use for a set of requirements. This is the interesting piece here. How do we use these tools to solve problems in an efficient manner because we understand the structure and behavior of these things? We'll talk about performance-related issues, so what they're good at and how fast they are in terms of insert, delete, and find for our different data structures. We'll look at implementing 3 different data structures using the Java collections framework. It turns out we don't have to build them from scratch. The fine folks in Java have done that for us. We'll look at what toString and equals methods are for collections classes and how to implement the comparable interface. Again, it's okay if it doesn't mean anything yet. We'll get there. We'll look at creating structures within structures using Java collections frameworks like a tree map of linked lists or an array list of array lists. You hopefully have done these 2-dimensional arrays or array lists before. We'll look at some other structures within structures. We'll look at 3 classic O of n log n and 3 O of n squared. That's a funny way to say these things, but that's okay. Sorting algorithms and describe their general properties. So we'll talk about sorting, and this time, what does this mean here? O of something. It'll be lots of fun. And then we'll illustrate the execution sequence of recursive methods, which is fun. So those 8 specific common course outcomes throughout the course we'll get to. We'll be using the data structures and abstractions with Java 5th edition. If you have the 4th, it's mostly fine, but the chapter numbers don't line up exactly the same. I'm not super concerned. Just let me know. One is slightly cheaper. This is not the brand newest book out there, so it's still outrageous because Pearson is the publisher. I didn't pick the book. I apologize. So go for it. Wherever you want to find it, it's fantastic. We use a lot of different tools. I'm fond of using GitHub. If you've had me before, that's familiar. If you've not had me before, that's okay. We'll figure it out here. That's one of the things we talk about this week. We use the GitHub desktop client. You can download that. I like Discord, not necessarily just for office hours. I probably should change that, sorry. But I've got a class-specific channel you can join. You can chat with any other folks taking this class or my other classes if you're so bored. Talking about your projects, I'm perfectly happy with, but we don't post our code in Discord, right? And we'll get to that in a minute here. I like using IntelliJ. The community edition is the free one here. You can go download it here for doing your Java programming. We'll use Scene Builder if we do a graphical user interface application, which those are much more fun to play with than just text-based output here. Or you can get all this stuff from the virtual desktop as well. My course-specific policy on plagiarism and cheating. I'm a bit of a stickler about this. I have a whole soapbox message I can talk about. It's okay. I don't like when people cheat. You shouldn't like when people cheat, because the end result is when you go out to the industry and you get a job, if you don't know what you're doing, people aren't going to want to hire other OCC graduates because they're going to think we did a terrible job, and they won't necessarily realize that you somehow got through and still got your degree by cheating, and you just never actually learned anything because all you did was cheat. So the best I can do, right, is I catch people for cheating and I fail them. You cannot pass this class by cheating. So the consequence for academic integrity violations or academic dishonesty means you fail the class and you get reported to the dean's office. There's no zeros, there's no try agains, there's no oops. If you turn someone else's work in with your name on it, that's plagiarism, it's academic dishonesty, you will fail the course, right? This is academia. You can't do that. Ideally, you're here to learn something. I get, we have to have pieces of paper to get jobs and this sort of nonsense. But hopefully you're learning something here. If you're not, don't take the class, right? Go do something else. So that being said, if you're not sure, please ask me. I am happy to talk about things with you, and I'll tell you, hey, please don't turn that in as is. You need to fix that. That's okay. But when you turn something in and it's been submitted, I'm assuming it's your work unless you tell me otherwise, using citations, right? Just like write an English paper. If you use someone else's ideas, you quote it or you paraphrase it and you cite it, right? We cite our source. We said, this is where I got the idea from. Additionally, Chegg.com or similar sites may not be used. Any use of them will be considered academic misconduct. Chegg is a terrible site here. They're currently being sued by Pearson, who I also don't like, so I hope they both lose a bunch of money in this process. I guess maybe the lawyers win here, but Chegg is awful. They have a, quote, tutoring service, which I will call their cheating service, that lets you pay to get your homework done for you, which is, obviously that's a terrible thing here. And material from courses is copyright here, and you can't post copyrighted material to Chegg. The other fun thing about Chegg, just if you want more reasons to hate them, is they'll say, hey, if I'm giving an exam, I can give them a copy of it, and then for 24 hours, they will prevent those questions from being posted or being asked. After that, they said, F you, Eric, we're going to let people do it because it makes us money. So if they have the ability to do it for 24 hours, they have the ability to keep my stuff off their website forever. They just choose not to because it makes them money. If I find my stuff on their website, I have to go get a letter signed by my dean, send it into them, and make them take it down. And it's a big hassle for me. It's a big hassle for my dean, and we hate doing it. And half the time they ignore us anyway because they're just awful people. So just stay off of Chegg. All right, for ChatGPT and other programming aid like tools here, I'm great with you using it, but the idea here is it's a tool that we can use, and we're going to cite our sources. So cite it as using source code comments, like I'll show you here. Include the prompt that you used. OpenAI has a link. You can give me a URL, but that's more work for me to have to go look it up here. Just say, hey, I asked ChatGPT this, and here's the prompt, and you can put that right in your comment citation here. That being said, just like an English paper, right? You don't turn in one giant quotation. You don't say, hey, here's an answer I found in quotes. Here's my source. Obviously, that won't fly. That won't fly here. You need to use tools and resources and add original effort, right? This idea, the bulk of the work has to be original effort. At least half of it has to be original effort, right? You can use it if you want for pieces, right? But you can't get an entire solution and then quote it and say, hey, here's my homework, because you didn't actually do any of it here. There's no original work there. And when it comes to using ChatGPT style tools in the real world, Code AI, or, oh my goodness, Copilot tools and other AI tools, they're not going to do everything. So developers will still do the hard work, the creative work of how do we put these pieces together to solve problems like we always have. Now some of this stuff is just faster here, right? I've had tools years and years and years and years ago that help me be faster. ChatGPT is just taking it to the next level here. So that's great. This was a copy paste from the handbook. More copy paste from the handbook. Grading. So this is what everyone seems to be interested in. So we have weekly labs. We're actually going to do these as discussion posts. I know discussion posts are terrible. I don't really like them. But the idea here is, like, if you're sitting in person, I would say, hey, work with the person next to you here. Work on something together. So these labs here are going to be a chance for you folks to practice some code, write some code, post some code, and see your partner's code. And because it's the discussion forum, you can actually see everyone's code, which is kind of fun because everyone's going to kind of approach it a little bit differently here. So we'll have these labs done in discussions. A lot of times they'll ask you just, hey, review your partner's something, or maybe you'll come up with something your partner will solve it, or I'll have a couple different things. I'll work on 4 individual projects throughout the semester, make up 30% of your score. We'll have quizzes every chapter, worth 10% of your score. These ones I do pull from the Pearson test bank. That is one of the advantages of using Pearson. They give you test banks and things. The goal with the quizzes is you go read the book. That's honestly why I give quizzes. So you can go and read the chapter, or maybe not even read every word of it, but like flip through it and know what's where. Okay, this is what this paragraph's about. This is what this paragraph's about. So when you get a question, you know where to go find it. They're untimed, open book, open internet, open notes quizzes, right? The goal is just you to go find the information and hopefully spend some time in your textbook here. We do have one exam, it's the midterm. It's not worth a lot of points. This is sort of a check-in here. Ideally, this goes really well for you. If it doesn't go really well, that's a time to kind of reevaluate, reassess, and say, well, what's going wrong here? The goal is this is easy. It's not free points, but it's not hard, right? If you've been keeping up with the labs, keeping up with the projects, keeping up with the quizzes, the midterm should be a snooze for you, and it's great. You know, that's okay. And then the final project here is worth 40% of your score. This one's intentional, and we'll have specific requirements around the final project, doing it incrementally, showing me working code as you go. These are sort of like checkpoints here. Part of that so you don't cheat, right? If you have to do this incrementally here, you have to be working on it and then modifying it and working on it and modifying it and working on it and running it and modifying it. It would take tons and tons and tons of effort to make a chatbot give you a smaller version of something and then add functionality. Like you just don't, right? We'll just kind of go through the project, and it should be interesting by the end. Well, it might be fun. I don't know if you want to call it fun or not, but it might be fun by the end. And then the final projects you folks will present to me over Zoom. You don't have to come in person, but just do a Zoom meeting and present it. And then it's pretty easy for me to tell when I ask you questions about your project if you copy pasted an answer or not, because you can answer questions about your project if you wrote the code. Right, the letter grading scale should be standard. The end marks here, if you don't turn anything in by the end date, you will be dropped from the class. I don't take things late because I go over answers. So when a project is due, I will post a solution for that project. Usually people find a little bit of value in seeing how I would approach a solution, because programming really is an art more than a science even. There's some science and we focus on some of the science things around performance here, but the art of taking a big problem and breaking it down into smaller and smaller and smaller steps, that's art. And everyone is going to approach it a little bit differently. And having 20 years experience programming, I bring a little something else to the table here. So that's what I'll do for that. So I can't take them late. Other standard things here, those are all pretty boilerplate. The library is a fantastic resource here. Lots of cool things out there. If you like technical books and want to learn cool technical things, we've got awesome access to stuff. There's a whole, I think it's Books 24/7 or IT Pro 24/7. I gotta look it up here again. That's just all sorts of technical books you can take out from the library for free, which is really cool. So if there's something you want to learn about, we've got access to it pretty much. Generally, the goal is for me to have things graded within a week of when they're due, not when you turn them in, of when they're due. If you've read Rate My Professor, I'm not good at this. My apologies. This semester should be better. Although I say that every time, but I'm really hoping this semester will be better. We're off to such a great start already, I'm sure. For email or communications, 24 hours or less, you should hear back from me. Like any good millennial, I'm addicted to my phone. I always have it with me. Occasionally, my little guy does watch YouTube Kids on my phone, so he might swipe my notification away. If you don't hear back from me in 24 hours, please reach out again. I might have just missed it, or somehow it got dropped somewhere. So reach out again. You're never bothering me. I'm here to help and answer these questions for you. So we should be in pretty good shape. So this week, the course introduction, Java review, just the appendices A through C in the textbook. We don't know when the last time you had 1500 or 2151 was, so if there's a bit of a gap, you want to spend a little bit of time getting back up to date. Next week, Thursday, we'll really kind of jump in and get into the new stuff, chapters 1 through 3. And then I won't do one quiz per chapter, right? The idea is we'll do like one quiz over those chapters here, so don't feel like you're going to have three, like a quiz for every chapter, because we go through a lot of chapters. And then we'll talk about our first project, and then we just kind of keep going a couple chapters at a time. We do projects every other week, so you've got 2 weeks for every project. We'll do the midterm after break, because doing it before break seemed a little too soon there. So we'll have break, we'll come back for the midterm. The midterm will be open book, open notes, open internet, untimed. So again, the goal is low stress, sort of just a checkpoint for you. And we pick up the last couple topics here. We start the final project on March 28th, and then somewhere around the 25th, you present them. We do have a little bit of wiggle room because that's a Thursday, so we can do that Thursday, the Friday, even the following Monday, the semester officially ends. So somewhere during that week, if you're done early, great. If you want to do it a couple days after, that's okay. Up through the Monday after this, we should be fine to do presentation. So I'll have all my calendar links available as we get a little closer for that here. And that's the plan for the semester. So I'm looking forward to it. And let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Again, apologies again for off to the late start here. It's just the review week, so I don't have any super big concerns here. We'll just get to know each other for our first lab exercise. We should have a lot of fun. All right, folks, you take care. I'll see you soon.